Hi, today I want to start a series of videos. In the first one, I'll be showing you something really basic and highlight a couple of problems we might run into. And in the next one, we'll build on this and show you how to solve those problems using Houdini. So let's see, we're going to start with a number of items, let's say 12, and we're going to put them all inside a wrapper. And for this, we're going to have a style attribute where we set the number of items as a custom property. Okay, so having done this, we then have a loop inside and decrement this number. Okay, and here we're going to have the item elements, right? So item, and here is going to be the index for each item. And as you can probably figure out, the index goes down, so it goes from 11 and then goes down to 0. It doesn't go up to 11, it goes down from 11. Yeah, let's put something on the screen. So we're going to have a radius, and let's say this is going to be 2ems. And for each item, we're going to have absolute positioning. We're going to have padding equal to that radius, and let's give everything a background so we can see. We should have a rectangle, a square. Okay, let's also set border radius 50% so that it becomes round. Okay, now let's distribute them horizontally. So we're going to set a transform, translate, and here we use a calc. Now that depends on the index times 100%, and 100% is 100% of the element's width. So as you can see now, they're distributed horizontally. And one thing I want to show you in DevTools is this. So the first item, right, is the last one in DOM order. So the last item in DOM order is the first one in line, and the first one in DOM order is the last one in line. So do keep this in mind. Okay, so next thing, we can also set a scale. That's going to be pretty similar to this. So let's say scale. We wanted these elements to just go down in size. So we're going to use, so we're going to have over n. But the thing is, like this, they grow. They don't go down in size, they increase in size. And the first one is scaled down to 0. We wanted the first one to have the original size and the last one to be scaled really small, but not quite down to 0. So to do so, we're going to introduce another custom property. So we're going to have calc, and this is going to be n minus I. Okay, so here we're going to use j, and we're going to get the result we want. Okay, so this is it. Now we want to also add an animation here, so we're going to have keyframes animation 2. Let's set this. Okay, let's give us some space here, and here we're going to, so it's going to be add 1 in the first case, and we want it to decrease, so we're going to subtract 1 here. So now we add this animation, let's say 1 second, linear, infinite. Now this should start working, and as you can see, it looks pretty good, except that first item keeps just popping out of nowhere. So to fix this, we can add a pseudo on the wrapper. So we're going to use the after pseudo element. Okay, and let's add content, nothing here. And this should now work nicely. And of course, we can also add something like a rotate transform, which we're not really going to notice if we have that value. So let's say we're going to have something like 35%. And when we have this, right, we're going to have something like this. So this is not going to be scale, this is going to be rotate, and then we're going to multiply this with 1 turn, for example, right? And it can go one way or it can go the other way, it doesn't really matter. Something else we can do is give this thing a bit of color, so we can do something like HSL, and here we're going to have a calc that's going to be pretty similar to what we have in other situations. So let's say it's going to be I times 360 over n, and we also want to have a saturation and a lightness. So for those, let's set the saturation here, it's going to be 100%. Lightness, let's set it to 75%, for example. Okay, having done this, we set the saturation and the lightness here, and we should start seeing the results. It's only R after that disappears, and it's because it doesn't have that I defined. But if we set a fallback there, like 0, it's going to appear again, and as you can see, all those other items just yeah, the weird thing is that you can see the color just flips. So in order to fix that, we're going to add this background declaration right here as well. So but we don't want to change it for the after as well, so we don't add the fallback there. So now it's going to work, right? Yeah, we wanted the animation only on the items, so so only on the item elements we want that animation. Now this is going to work. Okay, so this now works nicely. As you can see, their colors are changing. Let's add a bit more contrast because it looks really weird on white. So let's give it a black background. Okay, now something else we can do is loop through these colors, so cycle them, so that not only do they change when they go one way, but we also cycle through them progressively. So in order to do that, we're going to set another animation on the wrapper. So keyframes, and let's say this is going to be hue, and we go to hue, rotate 360 degrees, and that's a filter value. Sorry, I forgot about that part. Filter. Okay, now we're going to set the animation, hue 8 seconds, linear, infinite. Okay, now this should do it, and we should cycle through those colors. Keyframes. Yeah, we should cycle if I spell everything right. But now, as you can see, we're not keeping the same colors. They change to some really weird colors. So this is one problem. And the second problem is if we want to also have some sort of oscillation, we want these to oscillate, you know, go up and down, we can add another translation along the y-axis. But the problem is it's still going to be a linear one, you know, no matter what we do. So it's still going to go linearly. So we don't necessarily need to have 100% there. We can have something like 50%, but it's still going to be linear. So it's not going to be wavy or anything. It's still going to look like a straight line. Now we can fix this with nesting, but a smarter option is to use Houdini, and I'll be showing you how in the next video. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you like the work that I've been putting out for more than 80 years now, celebrating my 8th CodePen anniversary back in June, you can support it by being a cool cat and becoming a patron on Patreon. The link is going to be in the description. Or you can get me something off my Amazon wishlist, or you can at least share this to show the world what can be done with CSS these days. In any event, see you next time when I show you a better solution.